Yup Bang at the North Burma front. Chinese casualties of the Burma fighting at the battlefront at Yup Bang in the Hukwang Valley, Burma. Lieutenant General Joseph Stilwell watches as they are taken to the rear for treatment. This is Lieutenant Colonel Gordon Seagraves, head of the medical staff of the only hospital in these jungles, an American unit operating 7 miles behind the front lines. Operating tables are set up in the open, protected only by canvas roofing. Since the hospital is so close to the front lines, electricity has not yet been installed, and after dark, treatment and operations are performed by the light of lanterns and flashlights. Because of the constant presence of snipers, most of the wounded are brought to the hospital during the night. Casualties that can sit in the regular seat behind the pilot. In addition to this ambulance service, the 71st Liaison Squadron also performs courier duty to advanced outposts and delivers vital supplies and personnel. This is the Lido landing strip, built alongside the Lido Road about 7 miles outside of town. The strip, 2,000 feet long, was cut out of the jungle by American engineers. Ambulances drive out on the strip to meet the planes, and the patients are transferred again. This is the last stage of their journey from the front. The ambulances take them to the General Hospital at Lido. As soon as possible after the delivery of a patient, the L-4s, loaded with return cargo, take off again for Xinbuyang. Wantien, China. In order to examine and photograph a Jap Zero that had been reported shot down near Wantien, China, men from the 14th Air Force, including a member of the 16th Combat Camera Unit, proceeded by jeep westward on the Burma Road and southward on auxiliary Chinese trails to Yeoquan. Yeoquan is on a mountain, and the path to it is a block stone trail whose steps vary in height from 4 inches to a maximum of 17 inches. Approaching Yeoquan, the group was subjected to hostile gunfire, but the enemy was driven off. This was the first jeep to enter the city, and the crowd of curious natives made progress difficult. Even in this remote Chinese settlement, American personnel has already made its influence felt on the local tradespeople. From Yeoquan, the party proceeded by pack train over a mountain range to the valley town of Wantien. Here they located the stripped remains of an Oscar Mark II, but were unable to locate the Zero originally reported to be in the vicinity. During the early part of the return trip to Yeoquan, ponies were used, but later on, the journey proved too difficult for them, so the last 10 miles was made on foot. Mounted once again on the more familiar jeep, the men started on the long trip back to their base. Flyers down in St. George's Channel, separating New Britain and New Ireland. These twin-engine consolidated Catalinas, affectionately nicknamed Dumbo, are operated by the Joint Allied Command in the South Pacific to rescue flyers who have been downed at sea. This particular Dumbo has just been notified that a plane is down in the waters of St. George's Channel, a body of water 22 miles wide between New Britain and New Ireland. Dumbo, manned by New Zealanders, takes off to rescue the crew. 8 Corsairs furnish fighter protection on this mission, since the pickup must be made within sight of the Japanese on New Britain and New Ireland. Sea marker dye and smoke signals are used to help guide the rescue plane to the flyers, who are now aboard a rubber raft. The PBY comes in for a landing while the Corsairs continue to circle overhead. These men are the crew of a Grumman Avenger, which was damaged during an attack against shipping in Rabaul Harbor. Before being forced to ditch, the radio operator had been able to send the distress signal that brought the PBY. During the flight back to base, the rescued aviators are made as comfortable as possible with hot drinks and cigarettes. Dumbo returns to the South Pacific Harbor where its mothership, the USS Coos Bay, is anchored. The USS Coos Bay has a completely equipped hospital that treats not only battle casualties, but also all the personnel in the area. The flyers are taken ashore in a launch to be returned to their own unit, while the Catalina rides at its mooring on the alert for another call. On the following day, Dumbo, with fighter cover, makes another rescue within sight of Jap positions. This Marine captain, flying in SBD, was forced to make a water landing after his engine was hit while strafing an ACAC position on Cape St. George, New Ireland. Before ditching, he sent a distress signal with position. He enjoys warm food and a chance to relax during the flight back. mothership may be seen in the harbor below as Dumbo prepares to land. Target, Palousek Island in the Caroline Group. Bad weather and navigational difficulties forced 22 B-24s of the 307th Group, 13th Air Force, en route to attack Eaton Island in the Troop Group, to switch to the secondary target, Palousek Island, about 180 miles west-southwest of Troop. This mission, flown on March 26 without fighter escort, was the first attack made in this vicinity by the 307th Group. Palousek was hit heavily. There was neither fighter interception nor attack. On December 3rd, B-24s were slated for a mission to Bonus. Bad weather forced them to proceed to the secondary target at Kieta on the eastern coast of Bougainville Island. Medium attack was encountered. Bombs rained all over the installations at Kieta. Kahili and Kara, other Japanese bases on Bougainville, and Bailali had been inactive for several days. Apparently, the Japanese had decided that to repair these aerodromes was a waste of time. On December 4th, the supply depot was bombed to the south of Buka Passage. Hits were scored. There was very little ack-ack and no interception. One B-24 was lost, reason unknown. The Junkers 88 is currently Germany's most versatile airplane. This particular model is an earlier one, a Ju-88A5. It's a straight medium bomber used for either dive bombing or medium altitude horizontal attack. This plane has a wingspan of 65 feet 9 inches, is 47 feet long, and 16 feet 7 inches high. It's powered by two Jumo 211J engines, which develop 1,260 horsepower each at 12,500 feet. The armament consists of one 20-millimeter cannon in the nose and 7 or 8 7.9 machine guns. It carries a crew of 4. The Ju-88A5 has a maximum speed of 291 miles per hour at 14,000 feet. Its service ceiling is 32,500 feet, and it can climb to 16,500 feet in 21.4 minutes. The latest versions of the Ju-88 are noted for their speed, maneuverability, and general performance. They are used not only as a medium and dive bomber, but also for reconnaissance and mine laying. One of the newer major air bases of the Chinese-American wing is located at Guilin, about 450 miles southeast of Chongqing. For maximum protection, installations are keyed back among the limestone buttes, making taxiways and hangars hard to strop. The personnel consists of Chinese flyers who receive their advanced training, as you can see by their occupation, in the United States. These men have already seen service against the Japs. They are supplemented by seasoned American pilots selected from the 14th Air Force. The ground crews are also a mixture of Chinese and American mechanics. The cooperation between the Chinese and American Air Forces has surmounted even the difficulty of languages. These men work side by side and fly wing to wing against the Japs in occupied China. The Chinese-American wing is under the command of Major General Chennault and is a striking force consisting of B-25s and P-40s. It was activated in July 1942 and for over a year trained intensively in India under the China-India-Burma Air Force Training Command. This B-24 does not belong to the Chinese-American wing. Nor does this Liberator, which crashed before it left the ground. The left tire blew, causing the smash-up. One man was killed. This is the crew of a B-24 of the 308th Bomb Group, which started on a mission to Kowloon. Serious engine trouble developed, and 7 men were ordered to bail out. With the load thus lightened, the pilot, engineer, and radio operator were able to bring the bomber in. 12 days later, 5 of the crew returned to the base. 2 men are still missing.
When the alarm bell first rang, I bailed out. The bombardier followed me. Apparently, I was the second man out. The bombardier was the third. And the 3 of us landed in the river. I swam to one side, and the other 2 men swam to the other side, and that's the last I saw of them for a while.
What happened to you? What happened to your parachute when you landed in the river? How did you get away from it?
Well, at first I had quite a job, and I'd forgotten I had my lifebelt on. So I finally remembered that and inflated it, and that kept me above water until I could get out of my parachute.
How'd the equipment work?
The equipment couldn't have worked better. So thankful it did too, because a person's life depending on one piece of silk, you certainly want it to hold together.
Sailing out at night, though, what does that feel like?
Well, not much feeling to it. You sort of think about the last time you went to church, and when the parachute opens, why, there's not much else to think about it.
How long did it take you to get in?
12 days.
12 days. Who helped you to get in?
Well, the Chinese, the government, the Chinese soldiers, the guerrillas, and also the missionaries, both American and Chinese. And we discovered that these people over here are really a wonderful people, and receptions and dinners that were granted us and bestowed upon us at every place we stopped was really magnificent. If it hadn't been for the Chinese, we just wouldn't have made it.
Chinese and missionaries.
And missionaries. You look like you gained weight on the trip back.
I wouldn't doubt it a bit. All that food that we ate, why, it was compulsory to go someplace.
People really treated you nice.
Yesterday, it was perfect. Couldn't have been better.